Somewhere between the Arctic Ocean and the soul of Scandinavia exists a landscape so profound, so overwhelming in its beauty, that early Norse explorers believed it to be the dwelling place of gods. Norway stretches like a giant spine down the western edge of the Nordic peninsula, its coastline so fractured and convoluted that if you were to straighten every inlet, every fjord, every hidden cove, it would wrap around the earth nearly twice. But this is not a documentary about statistics. This is about standing in absolute silence on a mountainside as the sky itself begins to shimmer with ribbons of emerald light. This is about sailing between walls of granite so ancient and so sheer that you feel not like a visitor, but an intruder in a sacred cathedral. Norway is a place where the landscape doesn't simply take your breath away, it teaches you to breathe differently. Welcome to a nation forged by ice, perfected by time, and still writing its own legend. During the last glacial age, something miraculous happened. Colossal sheets of ice, some reaching heights of 2 kilometers, began their slow, inexorable journey across Scandinavia. As these frozen giants retreated just 12,000 years ago, they carved into the bedrock with the precision of a master sculptor, creating the fjords, deep, narrow valleys flooded by the sea, with walls that rise nearly vertically from emerald waters. The Geiranger Fjord, perhaps the most perfect of them all, descends nearly 600 meters below the surface, while its walls tower another 1,500 meters above. At their peaks nestle waterfalls that seem to defy gravity, pouring from glacial melt into the abyss below. But Norway's majesty extends far beyond the fjords. In the north, the Lofoten Islands pierce the Arctic waters like the dorsal fin of some ancient leviathan, their jagged peaks reflected in waters so clear they seem like mirrors to another realm. The Hardanger Fjord, with its peculiar underwater ecosystems, supports life forms found nowhere else on Earth. And inland, vast boreal forests stretch for hundreds of kilometers, home to lynx, wolverines, and the last wild herds of reindeer, where silence has a texture and the air itself carries the scent of ancient pines. The people who emerged from the ice were Vikings, not the bloodthirsty raiders of popular imagination, but remarkably sophisticated seafarers, traders, and explorers. Between the 9th and 11th centuries, Norwegian Vikings didn't merely raid. They established trading posts from the Mediterranean to the distant reaches of Russia, their longships representing a technological revolution in maritime exploration. The evidence of this golden age persists in the very architecture of Norwegian villages. Stone stave churches, with their steep roofs designed to shed the heaviest mountain snows, rise from the landscape like wooden prayer hands pointing toward the heavens. Some still stand after more than 900 years, their intricate carvings telling stories of pagan gods and Christian saints existing in an uneasy spiritual compromise. The Sami people, indigenous to the Arctic regions, maintain traditions stretching back thousands of years, their reindeer herds still following migration routes established when mammoths roamed these lands. In every Norwegian home, a certain philosophy prevails, the concept of cosiness, warmth, and togetherness that they call hygge, which in winter becomes not merely comfort, but a spiritual practice. When the sun vanishes for weeks during the polar night, the Norwegian people gather around hearths, light countless candles, and practice an ancient ritual, the simple, profound act of being together. The Geiranger Fjord demands your first pilgrimage. Cruise through waters so blue they seem impossible, pass beneath waterfalls named the Seven Sisters and the Sweeter, and watch as your boat becomes utterly insignificant against the overwhelming scale of ancient stone and ice. At the fjord's head, trails lead to vantage points where the entire valley opens before you, like a map of creation itself. The Lofoten Islands offer something entirely different, a landscape of extremes, where fishing villages cling to rocky outcrops like barnacles to a ship's hull, their red houses reflected in waters that hold the first light of dawn for hours. Here, you can fish in waters where Vikings hunted, hike to peaks where your vista extends hundreds of kilometers in every direction, and experience the midnight sun of summer or the otherworldly darkness of polar night. The Preikestolen, or Pulpit Rock, is a geological marvel, a sheer cliff face rising 604 meters above the Lysefjord, standing so perfectly flat that it seems constructed rather than carved by natural forces over millions of years. But perhaps most extraordinary are the northern lights themselves. They are not merely visual phenomenon, but a collision of solar wind and Earth's magnetosphere, charged particles dancing in the upper atmosphere, creating a light show that has no earthly explanation. Yet there it shimmers, undeniably real, turning rational minds toward wonder. While the familiar names draw crowds, the true essence of Norway reveals itself to patient travelers willing to venture into quieter territories. The Flom Valley, accessible by one of the world's most thrilling railway journeys, descends through 20 tunnels carved into mountainsides, offering a perspective on the landscape that ground-level hiking simply cannot provide. The train descends so steeply that the engineering itself becomes part of the adventure. Switchbacks that seem impossible, bridges that hang impossibly above waterfalls, all designed by Norwegian engineers determined to conquer topography that seemed unconquerable. Further inland lies Trolltunga, a rock formation jutting impossibly from a mountainside, a single dramatic finger pointing at the sky. The 6-hour hike to reach it is punishing, but when you stand at its very tip, suspended between earth and sky, you understand why the Norwegians speak of trolls inhabiting these mountains. The Sognefjord, less visited than its famous cousins, stretches deeper into the interior than any fjord on Earth, and at its narrowest point, the mountains on either side stand so close that they seem about to collide, creating an almost claustrophobic sense of geological power. Norway is a nation of compelling contradictions and remarkable achievements worth sharing. First, the midnight sun is not a myth or optical illusion. In the far north, for weeks each summer, the sun simply refuses to set, creating a landscape perpetually bathed in golden light where you can read a newspaper at 3 in the morning. Second, Norway was the only Scandinavian country to offer significant resistance to the Nazis during World War II, and its mountains became a symbol of defiance against occupation. Third, with a population barely exceeding 5 million, Norway possesses more sovereign wealth than nearly any other nation on Earth, accumulated not through conquest, but through careful stewardship of petroleum reserves beneath the North Sea. Fourth, Norwegians invented skiing, not as sport, but as necessity in the Arctic wilderness over 3,000 years ago, with evidence suggesting that by the medieval period, skiing had become part of their cultural identity. Fifth, the country boasts one of the world's most expensive and elaborate prison systems, based on rehabilitation rather than punishment, with recidivism rates dramatically lower than any comparable nation. And sixth, despite harsh climate and challenging geography, Norway consistently ranks among the happiest nations on Earth, a phenomenon some scientists attribute to the Hygge philosophy and strong community bonds forged by living in such an unforgiving landscape. Timing your Norwegian adventure is timing yourself to the rhythms of a landscape that lives in extremes. Summer, from June through August, brings the midnight sun to the north and temperatures that climb to a pleasant 18 degrees Celsius, making it ideal for hiking, fjord cruising, and exploration when trails are snow-free and accessible. The shoulder seasons of May and September offer fewer crowds and exceptional photography light. That golden hour seems to last all day. Autumn, particularly September and October, paints the landscape in russet and gold before winter arrives with its spectacular fury. If the northern lights are your goal, you must journey between September and March, when the dark nights create a canvas for the Aurora Borealis. The absolute best viewing typically occurs in the dark months of December and January, when the nights are longest and the chances of clear skies increase statistically. Winter transforms Norway into a realm of pure magic. Imagine dog sledding across frozen landscapes, ice fishing on pristine lakes, and witnessing the landscape transformed into crystalline sculpture. However, roads become treacherous, some mountain passes close entirely, and daylight becomes a precious commodity. In the far north, the sun may not rise for weeks. Consider the winter solstice celebrations in December, or the winter festivals that light up dark landscapes with fire and revelry, traditions reaching back to pagan times when humans gathered to encourage the sun's return. Norway exists in that rare category of places that exceeds expectation, where the photographs you've seen somehow underestimate the majesty you'll experience. To stand in a Norwegian landscape is to understand that we are small creatures, living in an ancient world of almost incomprehensible scale and beauty. This nation reminds us that beyond our cities and our screens, beyond our carefully controlled environments, there exists something wilder, older, and far more magnificent. Whether you trek to Trolltunga, sail the fjords, chase the northern lights, or simply sit in a wooden cabin watching snow fall on mountains that remember the Ice Age, Norway transforms those who visit it. If this journey has sparked something within you, that wanderlust, that hunger for wild places and authentic experiences, then subscribe to the Beautiful Pixels. Our channel is dedicated to revealing the world's most extraordinary destinations through cinematic storytelling and deeply researched exploration. Join our community of travelers who believe that the most important journey is the one that changes how you see the world. Norway awaits. The question is, are you ready to answer?